All right. So we have Andrea Ramirez with us today from Imalinx, SUSTA's consultant that's based in Mexico. She has been with Imalinx for 10 years and has an extensive background in agriculture. She started as an intern managing activities in Mexico and Central America for different U.S. commodity groups. She was a trade marketing specialist that assisted U.S. companies accessing the market and establishing contacts with suppliers, retail, and also managing promotional programs. In 2019, Andrea was promoted as Business Development Manager for Imalinx, overseeing the execution of trade marketing programs and also looking for new opportunities for our clients. She took part in the USDA Cochrane program with other management training in the US and has been part of SUSTA since 2018. We've really enjoyed working with Andrea and Marco, and she is going to give us updates on the Mexican market.
Thank you, Daniel, for the introduction, and nice to meet all of you. I'm gonna turn off my camera just in case we don't lose the Wi-Fi connection, but it's really nice meeting you, and I will sharing you some free information and updates on the Mexican market, part of it on the commercial process, but also on some trends and products that buyers are looking as for now in our country. So let me change the slide. So for Mexico, we have very good opportunities for trade. Actually, on the macroeconomics, there is stability. It was not affected by elections. Actually, we're looking for a very smooth transition. Buyers and consumers are looking for new options in the stores. We have a lot of global economics and exchange rate situation that may be causing the buyers a little bit more caution. But at the end of the day, anything is like changing in a big way. And something that we see sometimes is that there is lack of understanding of the market and the opportunities, especially here in Mexico, on the social differences in population and regions, the lack of consistent infrastructure upgrade, and the trade policies with opportunity areas. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the main formats in the Mexican market. As you can see, that we are divided in five blocks or formats that goes from price clubs that you can see there as a Costco, all the way to convenience stores, which are Oxxos, 7-Eleven, or even Bodega Aurrera Express, that this is like the most convenience and on the socioeconomic level for our country. So this is one of the highest growing segments with the supermarkets. Most of the national retailers have the five formats, but the regional go more for the warehouse, supermarket, and convenience stores. The retail chain managing with different formats, we put a more visual guide for you guys. Price club are these big clubs, hypermarkets or mega markets, warehouses, supermarkets, convenience stores. And the source of growth is on these two, supermarkets and convenience stores. The distribution of the retailers go this way. As you can see, we have some regional like Calimax, HEB. There are others like Al Super. We have Florida on the warehouse, but these regional retail changes are growing. We also have Walmart that is based in the center of Mexico, but they're national. La Comer, Chedraui, that was more on the southern, that is growing all the way up to the border. They have around 5 or 6 stores in the northern part. So this is how the distribution of retailers, national and regional, looks like in our country. So for the distribution and these two formats that we saw, the supermarket and the convenience stores, for the supermarket, there is specialization of stores and products. We've seen for our trade servicing that buyers and importers are looking for these exclusive products for their stores, even though they're in lower volumes, but they're looking for this gourmet experience. Of course, value added, how to promote them, very chic, very high end. And in the convenience stores, their distribution is increasing like crazy. Of course, they look for convenience in their stores. They are high volume, but not much on the differentiated product. And they're based on proximity and higher price for a low value product. Uh, all the supermarkets, they're investing a lot on their private labels as well. So make sure that if you have products that can fit or can be adapted to the retailers, let us know, because at the end of the day, as Daniel was saying in the introduction, we look for these opportunities for the needs that the buyers have and the products that you manage. So make sure that you communicate that to us. And we've seen some new things in the retail industry specifically. We normally, or they usually look for importers or distributors that could handle these high added value products into the stores. But now they have the ability to import directly more only specific and differentiated products. It all is based on the volume and how the supply chain can be efficiency to increase their margin, but they are open to do this. And a few years ago, it was not an opportunity on that side. So they're looking to reduce these intermediaries so they can look and go directly. And the perspective on this side is that they are focusing more on the BTL activities and promotional support. Of course, maintain the relationship between importers, retailers, and you as suppliers, and have a long-term development on frozen and gourmet categories, as we just mentioned on the slide before. Make sure that if you have these products, start working on your strategy for our market. This slide, if you've been in our webinars before, we like to show you this slide, how to sell in Mexico. There is a time span for between 6 months and a year to complete a business or a deal here in Mexico. And there are 4 big groups. Study the market, and I'm going to go deeper into this. Develop relationship, get the deal, and follow up and compromise. That will be our best path to follow to do business here in Mexico. So when we talk about study the market and define your strategy, we normally ask for all these things. I'm not going to read them one by one, but I will want to highlight 4. Look up for information. Normally, game reports issued by the USDA have a lot of information on categories and markets. So make sure to start looking for that kind of information. Also understand the market size, the tariffs, the requirements, competition, because it's very important. Normally, price point can be a little bit high, but how you will compensate that in our market. This one is very interesting because Mexicans will not say no directly. They will be like, I like your product, I'm very interested, let me check it. But they will not say no directly. So you will need to have a little bit more follow-up, but not be pushy with the buyer. At the end of the day, it's a lot of follow-up, personal relationship, personal meetings, and all of this is very important as the first part. Of course, patience and commitment to this market is key for us as SUSTA in-country consultants to follow up with you and for the buyers. So on this block of set priorities, the most important part here is define what product you want to launch here in Mexico, in what regions, and what target is for you. Because sometimes not even us as representatives of our companies or our products might not be the target for that product itself. So make sure that you kind of do some research before on what will be my target. For that target, does my product line fits for them, and in what region my target is? That's very important to get, because at the end of the day, when you go with your program to the buyer, that's something that they will ask for you. Of course, decide the sales and commercial model that fits your product. Look for references and get support from SUSTA. Remember that SUSTA has a lot of activities like virtual consultation with us, for example, in Mexico and in the rest of the regions. They have the 50 cost share program. So there are a lot of strategies and information that you can look for to prepare and set your priorities. Normally, here in Mexico, we work with importer or distributors that they manage all the way to the customer the product. Normally, they request exclusivity, and we ask you to set performance measures. If they fit that performance measure, then you're okay with exclusivity, but make sure that numbers talk. And if they match the performance measure, then you can take a decision. And they also may resell to other distributors or region. That also you need to evaluate whenever you work with an importer or a distributor. And the sales agent, that is like a broker, that they are an in-country rep that provides all the customer relationship. Their biggest asset is that they have relationship with trade, and they are useful to manage a large volume of products or portfolio. Then define marketing support. And this is one of my, not because I'm a marketer, but this one is my favorite. And sometimes exporters and companies are well aware that here in Mexico, we need marketing tools. Mexicans like to have information in Spanish, maybe labeling, and of course, importers and buyers will ask for a marketing plan to improve the results of your products in the country. Even though we put the products in the shelves, they need help to be sold, because if they're new, people need to know what the product is. So make sure that in your marketing support that you promote or you share with your importer, buyer, or broker, make sure to count the discounts. If you want to have sampling, if you want to have product demonstration, be participating in trade shows, merchandising staff to take out the product of the warehouse, put it on the shelves, make it look pretty, maybe if you have some POS materials. And for this, normally companies are not very open to have this marketing support, but we're eager you to have it. They will ask for it here in Mexico. And of course, that will make part of understanding the cost structure. So make sure that you handle taxes, tariffs, importer maneuvers, custom agents fee, inland freight. If you are doing through sales representative or through importer and distributor, and make sure that you have this price point. Normally, from the price point that you have in the US on retail, there is a different percentage of different, around 35 to 40% more here in Mexico, because you have to comply and be aware of all these costs that goes through the retailer, and the retailer also have their own margin. So make sure that you have all this, and as Daniel said, we're gonna send you and have this presentation available for you if you wanna go back to it and see. But normally it's between 35 and 40% more the price that you have in the US from here to in Mexico. What about developing a relationship? So you have to, there's 2 steps. Prepare for the first contact, and then make the first contact. To prepare, you have to be very open and very personal to the buyers. Of course, make sure to send email information of your company, make appointments in advance to confirm a few days before, and most important, be present in the buyer's life, to say it that way. So we have trade missions. Actually, there's one coming in October here to Mexico City and Monterrey. We have trade shows. You can come on your own to visit them. And we highly recommend this, because at the end of the day, you will also be preparing and studying the marketing if you participate in these activities. So after that, you will make the first contact. Normally, there's a phone conversation and meetings. For the phone conversations, it will be around 10-15 minutes. And you have to send information by email in advance, provide who are you, what's your company, is the purpose of the call, if you want to send some information for them to review, and be patient with the second call. Normally, it doesn't happen in the next week. It can be after 1 or 2 months, but make sure that you follow up with your contact. And the meetings, it might be take 45 minutes to an hour. And of course, buyers and here in Mexico like to talk about our hometown, how's your family, do you have kids? I do. What about vacations? And then you start talking about business. That's something that it's very different in the US, for example, that we know that you go straight to business. Here in Mexico, you have to prepare the ground with some personal conversation. And then there will be a list of agreement, and you have to also ask your counterpart the date for the next call or meeting. And of course, you will receive a big smile and a hug, and be conservative on your expectations. As I told you, normally it takes from 6 months to a year to complete a deal, or even more. We have had some success stories that happen after 2 years. But at the end of the day, the companies were very stable on communication, follow up, etc. And then get the deal. You have to be very well aware of the import process. Make sure that your contact has either a Mexican custom agent or they can import directly, because they will ask for some documentation that is very important. Commercial invoice, certificate of analysis, if there's samples, free sale certificate, phytosanitary certificate, and you will also have to comply with labeling, of course, manage and pay customs and tariff. That's on the importer side. But at the end of the day, you have to be very well aware of the imports process in case the importer or the buyer needs information from your side. So how strong is the trade infrastructure? Well, we've been part of this world trade, and we're the 10th largest exporter in the world, and the 8th importer worldwide, and the 3rd most important trade partner to the US. So as you can see, these are the entry points in Mexico, and with SUSTA being part of the southern states, it's very convenient, as this area is the most important entry point in the country for food and beverage. Why? Because it enters from Laredo directly to Mexico City, where normally they distribute to the rest of the country. So that is also a highlight for our logistic part. This is a road system, the railway system. So there's a lot of ways that we can manage to get your products into Mexico. Actually, is very close. So we have this country potential for US products. Some hurdles on the market: credit. Make sure that if they ask for credit, you are okay with that, because normally, for example, retailers ask for 90 day credit. Make sure to have some references on the companies. Of course, the relationship, as you are in the US, we need to have more personal contact, understand the cultural barriers, lack of understanding of counterpart from our side to yours, and vice versa. So that's very important. And the legal protection, make sure to don't forget about this. Normally, or sometimes, commerce codes are not corresponding. So make sure that when you are exporting to Mexico or every other country, confirm the HS code, and the transactions, international transaction, doesn't cover both countries. So make sure that you comply in the US and in the country that you are exporting, in this case, to Mexico. And some payments, as I was saying, they continue asking for payments in advance. Exporters, of course, request payment before shipping. So make sure that you get something in between, that both parties are comfortable on this payment side. And that you don't have any risk from your exporter, and that it is transferred to the importer. So everything has to comply. Make sure that all documents, all bank accounts, all credits, everything is comfortable for both parties. And that will be it for the presentation. I would like to open it more for Q&As if you have some. And here is my contact information. Remember that we have the virtual consultations that you can request through the SUSTA website, and we have a couple more activities. We have the outbound trade mission coming into Mexico in October, Mexico City and Monterrey, and we normally do ANTAD in Guadalajara in March.
Yes. So while we're waiting on Q&A, I was just going to talk a little bit about the trade mission, or maybe ask if you would talk a little bit more about the trade mission and the itinerary, just, for those who have never done a SUSTA trade mission, the one-on-one meetings, but then everything else.
Yeah, so the agenda in general looks, you're flying in on Sunday to Mexico City for having some trade webinars, ATO meeting, and then we have one-on-ones. We normally do retail tours in Mexico, and then we fly to Monterrey to have some other seminars with the ATO based in Monterrey that will talk more on the northern region, information, targets, consumers, etc. And then we have one-on-one with the regions. We do in person, and we also do virtuals because we've seen that buyers from other regions that are not based in Mexico City and in Monterrey, they're willing to meet other companies and see other products. So we manage both. We do it hybrid. And we visit some other regional stores in Monterrey, and then you go back. So that's the general agenda that we manage here in Mexico for the outbound trade missions.
So here it is. It's on our website. If you just go under this page, you'd see all of this. But, it visits the two cities, as Andrea mentioned, and included in your fee will be the flight from Mexico City to Monterrey, as well as, the one-on-one meetings, the market briefings, the tours, and SUSTA will reimburse either your airfare to the US, from the US to Mexico and back, or your hotels for the duration of the trade mission. So, a pretty good deal. If you are interested in Mexico, these are wonderful ways to really see a market and explore it. I just got back from doing one in Taiwan, and I can't under highlight the value of the retail tours. It's, we spent probably 4 or 5 hours, maybe more, in Taipei, traveling around and going to everything from the Costco there to the, smaller, more niche groceries. And I think everybody gets a lot of value out of that. So just wanted to plug that and let you know more about it. If anybody is interested, reach out to us. Happy to answer questions about these shows and events that we do. Okay, so we have one question that came in. How long does it normally take to get a response or have a relationship with buyers in Mexico? I have done most, if not all, the material you presented and no response in 8 months. My product is seasonal and buyers usually buy after hearing the presentation and receiving samples. We want to export there, but.
Right. David, I think that we can jump in a virtual consultation just to understand better what your product is, who you've talked before to, because that's important. And maybe if you have already reached this buyer and we know them, we can kind of take out the barrier and say, you know what, this company is real, so it's very important. Maybe, David, if you want to get a consultation with us, it will be appreciated. So I can go more deep into your situation. But be patient. If it's seasonal, let's understand what's the seasonality and your product, because maybe it crashes with our season here in Mexico. That's something that happens. But yeah, make sure that, or you can send me an email. There's my contact information, and we can jump in a call as soon as possible.
Great. And just so everybody knows where to find the consultations, if you go to our events page and you go to our whole events list, that's where you'll find the Mexico Trade Mission. But if you click on Export Education here, that's where you get all of our webinars, but also the consultations. So this is what Andrea was talking about. You could register for a call with Imalinx to talk about those kind of specific things and, try to troubleshoot some more individual that way.
Mhm.
Hey, another question. Sanitary registrations are not required. Is that correct?
It depends on the product. Again, we do ask for sanitary registration in some categories, for example, cheese, uh, ice cream, butter, that like dairy products. But yeah, it will be good to know what is your product to see what requirements we need for importing them into the country. So yeah.
Great.
All right.
Any other questions? Let's
All right.
see. Is a free sales certificate required for each delivery, or is a blanket certificate an option?
The free sale certificate is more for samples. They will, depending on the category, they will ask for a certificate every time you import process or want to sell products here in Mexico. But yeah, make sure that you comply with all the documentation. It depends again on what the product is, what category, the documents that you need to have ready. I'm gonna put again, if that works, this slide. Let me go back here.
Reshare, because I was sharing my screen. So why don't you?
Oh, do you see my screen? I think so. Can
No.
you? Well, on the slide of get the deal, the first one is import process. And normally what they ask for on your side is the commercial invoice, certificate of analysis, and the FIDO. The free sale certificate is just for samples. And the importer will work on the Mexican health and agricultural certificates on our side, the labeling compliance, which is very important. Actually, there is a third phase for this labeling compliance that maybe we can coordinate another webinar, Daniel, and then of course manage the payment of customs and tariffs. But these three, commercial invoice, certificate of analysis, and FIDO, are the three most important documents that they will ask from you. All right.
Anybody else have any questions for us? If not, then while I'm on this page, I'm just going to plug our next webinar, which is Get Ready for 2025. SUSTA is about to open our 2025 programs, if you can believe it. Starting August 1st, when you log into your account, you'll see a pop-up that says, do you want to recertify for 2025? Assuming you want to participate next year, I recommend you doing that. And basically all you have to do is update your account. If there are no updates, then you can just kind of click through it. And yeah, we'll be talking next Tuesday during that webinar about new things coming up next year, and just getting everybody ready. So I hope you join us. Okay, we do have one more question. You can see the different shared screens. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, we got it.
Got it. Okay, so if somebody wants to see both shared screens, you can do the view options tab.
I
But
just
if I,
stopped sharing my screen, but we will make sure to send you the presentation so
yeah,
you can have it as a backup. Yeah.
exactly. We'll send the recording of the webinar as well as the PDF of Freya's presentation. So fear not. And then, yeah, again, if you do have more specific questions, just register for the virtual consultation with these guys. And um, they will be able to get with you on Zoom or Teams or,
Mhm.
kind of call. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today, Andrea.
Thank you for joining the webinar, and I hope it was useful. And yeah, make sure to ask for these virtual consultations. They really work, and register for the outbound technician.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for joining.
Good day.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Bye bye.